More workshop maintenance, guys. My senior VoltOhmyst started acting up, and I noticed the D-cell was completely flat in it, so I put a new D-cell in, and I took the opportunity of printing off a little D-cell holder so that you don't have to desolder and resolder the wires every time. And printing off the little holder was no problem, but the little metal adapters that go in each side, you can get them on eBay. The only trouble is they come in like packets of 50. But for the packets of 50, the whole thing is like $5 or something, so hey, why not? I'm set up for D-cell battery connectors for the rest of my days. For the rest, it seemed like the erratic behavior was primarily due to some crap that got in this connector. It would, I found that if I tightened it up a certain amount, the thing would tend to go a little bit whack, and then loosen it off or wiggle it and it'd be fine. It also had this problem that when you went on the ohm scale, the needle would never deflect the whole way. It would only go it would go slowly, and gradually lose interest and stop somewhere about here. And then when I'd go on DC volts, it'd whack the needle right off the other end and all sorts of things. I just noticed the problem with wiggling the lead by accident, and so I took it all apart, cleaned everything up with alcohol, put it all back together, and we seem to be far more stable now. If I go on the ohms range, it deflects pretty much all the way over nice and quickly, and it's got like a 56 ohm resistor in here. We're on the times 10, so it'll go somewhere to here around between 5 and 6, and there we go. It's 57 reading, which will do fine for me for this type of meter. And then on the voltage ranges, and there we go, that's on the 5 volt range, that's reading about 1.3 volts, and I know this this particular D-cell is a little bit flat anyway, so I'm not using this one just as a test. So there we go, all back in action, ready for another day. When you put it on ohms, it swings nicely over to the other end once it's heated up and stabilized. When the old tubes are warming up, it can go over here and then take a little bit longer to get to the end. But once the thing is up and running, it's all good. We're good. Right, that's that little task out of the way. On the topic of workshop maintenance, I guess this is more workshop admin. Since most of my stuff started out in working on tube valve type circuitry, I didn't pay too much attention to semiconductors. But over the years, for occasional projects from time to time, I've needed transistors and ICs and stuff. And so I tended to just, if you need one, you'd order 3 or whatever, and then just chuck them in the box like this. And so I've now got to the point where I don't know what I have anymore. And so I need to audit this stuff and make a list of what I got. And so yeah, that's the next boring task I gotta do. So at least in the future, if I need something, I know whether it's in here or not. Well, that was definitely a worthwhile exercise. The immediate learning from this is I should have done it a long time ago, because at various points I have ordered the same thing from either local or suppliers or Mauser or whoever, for devices I already had in the box. So I think it's fair to say that things like 1N4148 diodes, I have enough of those to last me for the rest of my days. So I think I'll tabulate this up in a little spreadsheet or something and stick it in the box, and at least from here on out, before I go rushing into the online store, I can at least check to see, do I already have something equivalent or the actual device in the stash already. Right, that's another task out of the way. On the topic of workshop maintenance, unfortunately there are some that are a little bit beyond me. So this is my lab power supply that has been working faithfully for, I don't know, a number of years. But I had it hooked up to a very simple circuit the other day, and suddenly it decided to go a little bit weird. and it now just goes into this error condition. So I wait for it to get to the ready condition, which is like that. Now if I set the on-off button here, it should go to the voltage that I had set, which I think was about 4.6 volts, and be good to go. But what happens is the following. I hit on-off. It goes to the 4.5 volts for a moment, and then I get error with OVP, which is over voltage. And I can't find any way of resetting it, or, you know, it does seem a little odd that you would expect something like this to have all sorts of over and under protections of all sort because of the nature of what it is. So my only option at the moment is there is a software package that you can get that goes with it, but you have to like buy a license for it. It's not too expensive, so I've ordered that up, and I will hook this up to the laptop and see if there's some means of resetting it or reloading firmware or something. If that doesn't work, I fear it's bricked. But anyway, so that one is for a little bit further down the road, I think. Well, some good news with the power supply. That software came, and I got the license code. We seem to be back in business. From the screen, I was able to reset. This value here was set to something very, very, very small. Not quite sure how that happened, but anyway, I was able to adjust it, and we seem to be back in business. Therefore, happy user. Entropy has been reduced.